Guys, it's Laura. Welcome back. Today I have for you a very large book haul. I have been accumulating books for the past 2 months. I did not do a book haul back in May, but I actually bought most of these in May, and I have about 10 or so that I bought this month. I have really been enjoying Half Price Books. I didn't have a store near me where I lived in Florida, but now that I live close to one in California, I'm there all the time, which has been really bad. So let me go ahead and get into this book haul because I have a lot of books to get through, and I'm not going to talk too much about each one so that this video isn't like 30 minutes long. But let's go ahead and start with the stack of books that I have here from Half Price Books. So the first book I'm going to show you is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I found this beautifully stunning Barnes & Noble Classics edition at Half Price Books for $5. So I saw that. I absolutely had to pick it up. This is my favorite classic ever and one of my favorite books of all time. I love collecting copies of it. This is only my 4th or 5th copy of Alice. I don't have too many, but I want to collect as many as I can. And I just love how beautiful this is, and the silver edges, and the illustrations are all in color, and it's not gonna just sit on my shelf either. Like, I plan on reading this one with my kids because I think this edition would be really fun for them to read. The next book I picked up at Half Price Books was The Brilliant Death by Amy Rose Capetta. So I picked this up because I read Once and Future last month, which is by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy, and I absolutely loved that book so much, so I wanted to pick up more books by those authors. When I saw this, I went ahead and picked it up. I don't even know what it's about, but I think it's about a witch who has the ability to turn people into music boxes and mirrors, or she can talk with mirrors or something like that. I don't know, but I'm really interested in reading it, so I picked it up. Okay, next I have a series, and I think it's just a duology, so I have both the books. That's The Crown's Game and The Crown's Fate by Evelyn Skye. I've been interested in reading these for a while. I've heard this series compared to The Night Circus on multiple occasions, and if you know me at all, you know that I adore The Night Circus. So I definitely wanted to pick these up. The synopsis does sound similar. We are following 2 enchanters who are competing in this magical competition to become the imperial enchanter to the Tsar of Russia. The one who loses this trial actually also loses their life, but I think they end up falling in love with each other. So I'm really interested to get to this, hopefully very soon. Super excited. The next book I found, I was so excited to find this at Half Price Books. That is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. So I have been reading and loving Sanderson this year, and when I saw this, I was so excited because it was such a good price. This is a young adult sci-fi by Brandon Sanderson, and I think follow Spensa, is that her name? Yeah, we follow Spensa, who wants to be a pilot, which is actually very important in their world because pilots are the main defense against this alien race that they've been fighting for quite some time. I'm really excited to read this. Hopefully I will be getting to this summer. Next I have A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro. After reading Truly Devious, I just wanted some more young adult mystery, something that was going to be very nostalgic to all the mysteries that I've read in the past, and I thought, what better series than one that takes its inspiration from Sherlock Holmes. In this series, I believe we're following Charlotte Holmes, who is a descendant of Sherlock Holmes, and Jamie Watson, who is a descendant of John Watson. So I'm really excited to get to this series as soon as possible. So next we have a book that I really couldn't tell you too much about because I do not remember anything about it. I remember reading the synopsis a long time ago. It was like on a list somewhere, and I was really interested in reading it, and I had added it to my Goodreads to be read shelf and then never picked it up, but I saw it at Half Price Books and I was like, oh, I remember that. And it is Blowback 07 by Brian Meal. The only thing I know about this is that it involves time travel, and I am a huge sucker for time travel stories. So I went ahead and picked it up, and this is another one I'm hoping to get to really soon. On the subject of time travel though, I love Doctor Who, as you can probably tell. I'm a huge Whovian, and I'm just really missing new episodes of Doctor Who since we're not getting any this year. So when I saw this at Half Price Books, I went ahead and picked it up. And that is Touched by an Angel by Jonathan Morris. This is a story following the 11th Doctor with Amy and Rory as his companions. And the 11th Doctor is my favorite Doctor, and Amy is my favorite companion of all time. And I can't wait to read this. I really love Doctor Who novels. I've read only a few so far, and I really enjoy them, so I'm excited. Also, this obviously features weeping angels, and they are the scariest of all creatures. I am terrified of weeping angels, but I also love them. And then I picked up Beast Made of Night by Tochi Onyebuchi. I am really excited to get into this. This takes place in a world, and I could be totally wrong, I'm just trying to go off memory here, but I think this takes place in a world where any sin you commit creates a sin beast, and then there are people who are tasked with killing these sin beasts, but when they kill them, they actually take on the guilt of the sin, I think it is, and it manifests in like tattoos on their bodies. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what it's about, and I think we're following the main character in here is someone who kills these sin beasts. So this sounded very interesting when I first heard about it, and I saw it at Half Price Books for a good price, so I picked it up. So next, let's move on to the very small book outlet order that I placed. I only bought 5, and I only placed the order because I wanted this one book. But the one book that I wanted from Book Outlet was Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer. I read Renegades back in April, really enjoyed it. I adore superheroes in every form, TV shows, books. I love it. I love them. And so I've really been enjoying this series. I'm currently reading Arch Enemies right now, that far through. If you don't know about Renegades, Renegades is the first book. It takes place in a world where people with superpowers are very common, and we have this organization of superheroes called the Renegades that pretty much run everything. Following a girl called Nova, who is actually a villain who has infiltrated the Renegades to learn their secrets and take them down from the inside. Next, I picked up the last book in a series, which is Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I already read this last year, I believe, but I didn't own the third book in the series, so I saw it on Book Outlet for a good price and picked it up. I absolutely adore the Illuminae files. They are amazing. It is a really great sci-fi series told in mixed media format, and you should definitely pick it up if you haven't already. I don't know why I haven't stopped doing this, but I'm very bad about buying subsequent books in a series when I haven't even read the first book in that series. I need to stop doing that. But I saw these for such a good price, and I just picked them up. That is Wind Witch and Sight Witch by Susan Dennard. I picked up Truth Witch recently, still haven't read it yet, but I saw these and I was like, oh, might as well get them because I'm probably gonna love Truth Witch. Yeah, I really can't tell you too much about what these are about. And the last book that I picked up on Book Outlet was Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. Victoria, or V.E. Schwab, is one of my favorite authors. This duology, This Savage Song and Our Dark Duet, I have not read yet, but it's definitely on my list of books that I need to read soon, like before the end of the year. And I have This Savage Song and didn't have Our Dark Duet, so now I have it. I have 2 books here that I picked up in May for the Bingo-a-thon, I think it was. Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. This was the group book for Bingo-a-thon, so I picked it up and absolutely loved it. So glad that I did. This is a gender-bent King Arthur retelling in space. It's beautiful. And then the next one was Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I had pre-ordered this and it came out in May. This is another one that I already read and loved so much. This follows a group of misfits and unlikely heroes as they have to save the galaxy, and I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend. I have started reading the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, and I am the kind of person, I've always been the kind of person that loves to binge read series. I don't like to put too much distance between the books in a series if they're all out. But I've kind of dropped the ball with this series. So I picked up Assassin's Blade and Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. I have read Throne of Glass and what was the other one? Crown of Midnight, I think? The first two. I read the first two books in the series. I guess I should have started with the Assassin's Blade. I don't know, but I'm picking this up next. And then of course the next book is Heir of Fire. I really have enjoyed the first two books. I gave them both 4 stars and I'm really looking forward to continuing the series. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And I'm getting nervous because, like I said, I don't like putting too much distance in between books in a series because then I forget things and I don't want to forget things. So I picked up these 2 books so that I can get to them, if not this month, then next month for sure. And then we have another random book that I picked up at the dollar store. I love going to the dollar store and perusing their books. Sometimes you can find really great things there for $1. I picked up 100,000 Worlds. This is by Bob Prohl, I think. And the synopsis sounded really interesting. We're following a mother and son who left Los Angeles 6 years ago. She left her husband and took her son, and now she's coming back with her 9-year-old son to meet his estranged father. And they set out on this road trip from New York to LA, and along the way stop at a bunch of comic book conventions along the way, and they end up meeting these very unlikely characters. So it sounded really interesting and it was only $1, so I picked it up. From Barnes & Noble, I picked up this beautiful collector's edition of A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This beautiful rose gold edition. I love it so much. It is so beautiful. It also has fan art on the inside and it's just stunning. It's just stunning. I really love this series and I had to buy it because it's V. Schwab and it's rose gold and it's beautiful. Then actually my husband picked this up for me while he was in New York. He picked up Again But Better by Christine Riccio. We all know Christine Riccio. She is a booktuber and I really wanted to read her book. I love supporting booktubers who become authors, and also the synopsis sounded really interesting. This is a contemporary story and I love reading contemporaries during the summer, so hopefully this is going to be one that I get to this summer. Next we have The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. This is the second book to Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, which I have read and loved. I was really surprised at the end of Truly Devious because I thought that it was going to wrap things up a little bit more, and it really didn't. It didn't take away from the love I had from the book, but it made me really anxious to read the second book, so now that I have it, I can do that. I just have so many books to read. Next we have With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I read The Poet X earlier this year, I think in February, and I absolutely loved it. So I knew I had to pick up her second book. This is about a teen mom who loves cooking and wants to pursue her dreams and is dealing with being a single teenage mom and everything that comes along with that. So I am super excited to read this, not only because it's Elizabeth Acevedo and she is an amazingly skilled writer, but because I've never read from the perspective of a teen mom, and I think that this is just going to be great. So I'm super excited to read this one. Next we have Warrior of the Wild by Trisha Levenseller. She is the author of Daughter of the Pirate King, I believe, which I have on my shelf. I just haven't read yet. But I picked this up because it sounded really good. Follows Rasmira, and she is trained for her whole life to become a warrior, but she has this coming of age trial, something goes wrong, and then she's banished to the wilderness with the quest to kill a god, I believe. Whenever there's gods and monsters in a synopsis, I'm automatically intrigued. And this is a relatively short book as well, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And then we have If You Come Softly by Jacqueline Woodson. I had really wanted to read this for the Buzzwordathon and didn't get to it, but I will hopefully be picking it up soon, like I say about all of these. But this is a very short little book from Jacqueline Woodson. I read her memoir earlier this year and just really loved her writing, and so I really want to pick up everything by Jacqueline Woodson. I think that she is an amazing author and an amazing person, and I'm really excited to read this one. Okay, 2 books that I picked up from Amazon. We have Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel, but this follows a little girl who falls into this huge hole onto the hand of this giant robot, I believe, and then we follow her years later as she's studying this robot and kind of where it came from and what it means, and it's all about figuring that out. And I'm super excited to read this. I've heard nothing but great things about this on BookTube and other places. So yeah, I'm really glad that I have it now so I can get started on it. I found this for really cheap and picked it up, and that's Inspection by Josh Malerman. I have been loving Josh Malerman books this year. I've been trying to read all the books that he has out. I think this is his newest one, I'm not sure, but I don't even know what this is about, and I don't want to know. I just want to go in completely blind and find out, because I love his writing, and that just makes it so much more thrilling and exciting. Josh Malerman writes literary horror, maybe, type books, but they're all sort of thrillers, so I really love Josh Malerman, and I'm excited to have this book. Okay, the last 2 books in this haul are my Owl Crate books for May and June. So the book for May was We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faizal. This is an ancient Arabian inspired fantasy following a dual perspective, I believe. We have a girl who has to disguise herself as a boy to provide for her village, and then we have a prince who is dubbed the Prince of Death. So this sounds really interesting. I recently read a book that was ancient Arabian inspired and absolutely loved the setting. So I'm hoping that I'm really gonna love this one as well. And then the Owl Crate book for June was Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I'm so excited about this. This is probably gonna be the next book that I pick up. This is a book following our main character, Elizabeth, who works in a magical library that holds dangerous grimoires that, if let loose, turn into monsters and wreak havoc. And that just sounds absolutely amazing. I love fictional libraries, especially magical ones, so I cannot wait to pick this one up. And the Owl Crate edition of this book is absolutely stunning. I love the purple. I think the original cover is like a greenish, bluish color, but I absolutely love this. So I am so glad to have this. And that is it. That is all 29, 30 books that I picked up in the last 2 months. I hope you enjoyed this book haul. Do let me know if you have read any of the books that I mentioned, or if you're excited about reading any of the books that I mentioned. Talk to me down in the comments below. Be sure to like this video if you liked it, and hit that subscribe button if you would like to see more videos from me. But I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!